Beep, 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 beep. Well, I'm not comfy in this position. How are we today? We'll move in a little bit so I can all the better to grin at you. Good morning, good peeps. End of the month coming. If you can buy me a coffee, please do. Every little helps, and thank you to everybody who does. New warrior teachers. Oh, so excited to get started. First session. Get them on the track. Yep. Looking forward to it very much so. Oh yeah, it's good at the moment. Really good. So I'm pleased about that, right? Smug face. Right, smug, happy because people are engaging, which is what we like. Let's talk about the bloody BBC. British Bastards Corporation. British Buggers Corporation. Bloody bad company. BBC. Right? You know, it's they've been promoting nonsense lately. I don't know whether you've seen it. Various things about the T and the Q that it needs gutting, right? I used to be a fan of the BBC. I still am to a certain degree. In that, if you've got the BBC archive on iPlayer, there's some brilliant stuff on there. Interview with Jane Fonda from 1960 or something, 1970. She was a bloody firebrand, wasn't she? Eh? That was really good. Stuff with who else have we got at the moment? Who's that little northern fella? Writes plays. Cream Crackers Under the City with Thor Hurd. A Lady of Letters with Patricia Routledge. What's his name? I come from up north and I tell small stories about small people. What's his name? He's wonderful. Alan Bennett. You're all there going, it's Alan Bennett. It's Alan Bennett, right? It's brilliant stuff. There's some really good stuff on there about dinner date. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. The BBC is no longer what the BBC was, or, you know, it's just a nonsense at the moment. It just seems to be full of nonsense merchants. So, colour me surprised. Drag Race UK, they're promoting now on Newsbeat, right? Series 5 Queens on being accepted in Britain. 2023, and they're still rattling on about this bollocks. So this is by somebody called Pete Allison on BBC Newsbeat. When Drag Race UK Series 5 starts later, God, you'll see 2 queens hitting your screen who were actually born and raised abroad. Good God. Breaking news. Alexis St. Pete from Poland, right, and Cara Mele from the United States both moved to Britain after spending their childhoods in their home countries. RuPaul's award-winning Drag Race franchise, which started in 2009, is famous for its runways, drama, and lip-syncing. It shouldn't be called Drag Race UK. It should be called Queer Performativity UK. RuPaul's Queer Performativity. Cara, this comes the first one, was born in Atlanta, Georgia, a traditionally conservative US state. Right, that's tarring an entire state as one thing. Right, the 26-year-old dreamed of being on Drag Race, but had to literally hide in the closet to watch the show, worried about the reaction of the family. It says here, she describes watching the whole show and then all of a sudden be afraid that someone's going to come in and see me watching this. London-based Cara, who uses she, her pronouns, moved to the UK 7 years ago to study fashion, but ended up staying once her drag career took off. I really got comfortable because I felt like the culture was just so welcoming and open, she says. Your guess is as good as mine, right? Cara says the UK was somewhere to let your imagination go wild. Really? Most people think of us as quite sleepy and odd, full of eccentrics. But in America, people expected her drag to be safe and more cookie cutter. What the hell does that mean? Well, I know what, I don't mean what does it mean. I mean, well, in America, they wanted to be safe and cookie cutter. The implication over here is then it doesn't have to be safe? Not doing it in front of children, are you? She says, and so I just didn't really feel as comfortable. I felt that the UK was the place for me. Right. Okay, so this 26-year-old, when did you move to the UK? Doesn't say. Cara feels that the UK is not without its problem for trans people. What? Right, so what are you? Are you a drag queen or are you actually a trans person? Which is it? Or are you both? In which case you're a female pretending to be a male, or you're a male pretending to be a female. Which is it? Right, it's not without its problems for trans people. Or maybe they just mean generally. When I came here, when I identified as male, I felt I experienced a lot more blatant homophobia than I did when I was in the US. And I definitely think that homophobia is alive and going strong still today. So when you came here, you identified as a male. Were you a male or are you a female? Which is it, right? Which is it? How can we tell whether this story is true? Is there any veracity to it? Young people are reading this. When I came here, when I identified as male, I felt experienced a lot more blatant homophobia than I did when I was in the US. Well, it's because you weren't out, because it was so awful, isn't it? Isn't it? It's because you weren't out. You were hiding in the closet, literally and figuratively. I definitely think that homophobia is alive and going strong still today. So do I. And it's coming from the likes of you. And your LGBTQ nutters. Right. I've been seeing some of the comments that people leave, and it's just like, whoa, this is what we're still going through. No, it's not we're. Right, you've been through nothing. You're 26 years old. You've been through nothing. Cara says her mum currently lives in Florida, where laws like the so-called Don't Say Gay bill have been seen as targeting LGBT people. It's definitely gone downhill over there, she says, and it's not that bad over here yet. Rubbish. Right, the Don't Say Gay bill, right, for those of you that were paying attention, was where you couldn't teach 4-year-olds about trans and gender identity nonsense. It's got nothing to do with being gay. These people are full of it, and the BBC shouldn't be censoring them. Another queen who's lived in the UK after growing up overseas is London-based Alexis, the 28-year-old who uses he, him pronouns. He, him pronouns out of drag, came to the UK at the age of 12 after being awarded a place at a prestigious dance school. Oh, we love a good dancer. And he says that it was an eye-opener compared to his home country, Poland. We didn't really have any people that we could really look up to in the media from the LGBTQ+ community. We didn't have anybody like us. We didn't have any drag queens. You're looking up to a drag queen? What's the matter? No scientists available? No engineers? No good writers? Alexis says he was always a little bit different, a little bit more like a colourful child, and I feel like that was really never accepted in my school. But I was always just being me, he says. Even now, he says, he feels he has to dress a certain way when he goes back home. He says the one exception is capital city Warsaw, where he doesn't always have to dress up a little bit different because I'm with my mum, and I feel like I don't want to stress her out by having people look me up and down. Alexis feels Poland is going the right way thanks to social media, which has made everyone used to seeing so many more colourful people out there. What do you mean by colourful people? Why are you implying that gay people are clowns for everybody else? What the hell are you doing, you clown? Gay people aren't clowns for the amusement of everybody else, and you're implying they are. Oh, it's so nice that these colourful people. What? What are you talking about? Do I look like a clown? Oh, don't answer that. I feel like before in Poland, they didn't really have anybody that they could see that was different, he says. Despite this, Alexis says there are still some things that he does in the UK that he's not ready to try out in Poland. I would definitely not go to town in drag for a little drink with my friends. Well, why should you? Why should you? You know, a surgeon doesn't go out for a drink dressed as a surgeon with a scalpel and a mask on, does he? Can you imagine an anaesthetist turning up at your local bloody pub, right? Whatever that may be. You know, the door opens and in he comes with an anaesthetist and half a dozen nurses, right? Can you imagine? Bring in the machine that goes ping. Right, stood in Wetherspoons with a scalpel. What would you do? I'll have a gin and tonic. I don't go out dressed in my professional outfit. What a surprise. Why would you go out in your professional outfit anyway? It's a job, isn't it? Is it a job? Or not? It's a job, right? Like milkman. Cara agrees with Alexis that representing a group can be a weight on your shoulders. Well, only probably the weight of the dress. but says he didn't go into the show seeing herself. It was herself now, not himself, right? So they swapped as the voice of the whole community. Well, I'm glad you've done that because you've got nothing to do with gay and lesbian people anymore. Nothing. You're part of the TQ nonsense, kiddo. I kept thinking to myself, just be you. Well, that's exactly the opposite of what you're doing. You can make all the statements you want. You can try and represent all you want, but it's about doing the best me I could do. Well, okay, great. I mean, it's just a piece of pablum, isn't it? It's just a piece of nonsense to make the kids feel good about themselves. Look, if you're a good drag queen or a good drag king, then fine, right? But obfuscating reality like this does, and not telling people the truth like this does, because you don't know whether they're male or female, and people will say, well, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. Okay, it matters if in young people and children's minds you're saying men can be women and women can be men because we have different social and cultural problems with both. Different social and cultural problems with both. And undermining safeguarding in such a way by pretending that men are women is an absolute disgrace, and this country can still continues to do it. And the public funded television body also still continues to do it. These people need to be stopped. You know, you want to do drag? Fine. Do it in your local pub. Keep it there. Stay away from the kids. Ta-da.